Are we on?
Yep.
All right. So, welcome and thank you everybody for joining this webinar. Um, your cameras are off and you are muted. So you can put questions and answers or questions or comments in the chat or the question and answer at the bottom of your screen. You can also raise your hand if you prefer to speak and we can unmute you. This webinar series is um, part of a grant from the ARC of the United States. And we will get started in just a few minutes. We're just going to let some people get on and get situated. And so we'll be ready in just a few.
All right, Sean, I'm showing that it's just a minute after, so I'm ready to get started when you are.
Okay. All right, so we are going to get started now. So today's agenda is the introduction of web browsers and search engines. This and skill building using web browser, using search engine, and navigating websites. Search engines and tips and tricks and practice. We're going to learn the web browser search and engines build skills and to navigate the internet, including using web browsers, using search engines, navigating websites, learning tips and tricks for basic and advanced searches, practice your new skills. We are using curriculum developed by the ARC of the United States and AT&T in partnership with the ARC of San Francisco.
All right, thank you, Sean. Hi, everyone. My name is Becky Shields. I am the Director of Advocacy Programs here at the ARC of Indiana. So first, I want to kind of introduce you to some terms we're going to be using a lot today. The first one is web browser. So, a web browser is any program that allows you to view websites and navigate them, and using hyperlinks, which we'll talk a little bit more about hyperlinks later on in today's training. So, some common browsers that you probably have heard of before, and we've got the logos here on the bottom of this slide, is Microsoft Edge. There is Firefox, Google Chrome, and Safari. Typically, when I'm using the internet, I use Google Chrome as my web browser, but it's a matter of personal preference. We also are going to be talking a lot today about search engines. What search engines are is a website that allows you to look up information and view content on the internet. Some common search engines that you probably have all heard of, definitely there's Google. There is also Bing is a common search engine, as well as Yahoo. And again, here on the bottom of the slide, we have those icons or logos for those search engines. And the reason we're talking about these two tools or these two terms, web browsers and search engines, is because the internet is a global network. It allows people to share digital information with one another. But the internet includes so much information. There are millions of different websites, millions of different places you can look to get different information, access what you need through the internet. So, first of all, you'll need a web browser to access the internet, but then using those search engines is really going to help make things easier for you so you can search exactly what you are looking for. So I actually am going to go ahead and exit out of this PowerPoint because I want to show you how to open a web browser. So I'm going to exit out of this, and then you should be able to see my computer desktop, which is just kind of the home page of my computer. In the top left-hand corner, you can see here that I have Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox. I also can go to the search bar here. And if I wanted to open up Google Chrome, for example, I would type in the first couple letters and could then single click there to open Google Chrome. I can also hit this Windows button and it will show me all of the apps that are downloaded onto my computer, and I can scroll down. So here under F, we have Firefox. Here under G, we have Google Chrome. Back up here, oh, I guess it's under M for Microsoft. We have Microsoft Edge. So these are all different ways to open your web browser from your desktop. I'm going to go ahead and use the shortcut on my desktop here for Google Chrome. I'm going to double click and then it will open Google Chrome. So if I open a new tab here, I want to kind of show you just what I see when I open up the internet. So there are a few things I want to point out to you here. There is right here where my cursor is, where I just clicked. This is the address bar, and you use this to type in the address of a website or a web page. It also can be used as a search box. So you can either put a specific www dot or a search term in it. So for example, if I wanted to go to the Arc of Indiana's website, I could put in www.arcind.org and hit enter, and it would take me to the Arc of Indiana's website. If, however, I didn't know the specific URL, what the www dot is, I could also just type in the Arc of Indiana, hit enter, and it will give me Google results. I see right here at the very top, the Arc of Indiana website, single click on that, and then here I am at the Arc of Indiana website. Something else you may notice while I have my Google Chrome, my internet browser open, is up here I have some different tabs. So you are able to have multiple websites open at the same time. So for example, looking at what I've been working on today, I have an article here from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle that is about SNAP. I also have some music I was playing on YouTube, my email inbox, Zoom, and now I have the Arc of Indiana website. What these tabs allow me to do is to go quickly between different websites without having to type in the URL each time. If I want to add a new tab, there is a plus sign right here. You see if I hover my cursor over it, that little white arrow, it says new tab. If I click on that, I now have a new tab open. I can either type in a search, either up here in the address bar, or I can also type down here in the Google search box. Just a reminder, if you have any questions at any time during this, if I'm going too quickly, Feel free to raise your hand, come off mute. We also can, we have the chat box open. You can type a question or comment in the webinar chat, or you can type your questions in those Q&A boxes like Sean mentioned. All right. The next thing I'm going to show you is the back and forward buttons. So for example, if I want to go back to the previous web page, I just went to a new part of the Arc of Indiana website. If I want to go back, there is this little back arrow. It's in the top left-hand corner of the browser. If I click on this, it takes me right back to where I was. There also is a forward button. So I just went back. Maybe I want to go forward. You can navigate that way as well. So the back button is whenever you want to go to the previous screen in your web browser. And then the forward button is to return to the screen that appeared in your browser before you went backwards. So we talked a little bit about the address bar, which also in Google Chrome is a search bar. We've got the back and forward buttons. I want to talk also just about this browser window. And what the browser window is basically anything below this little, on my computer, it's green. It can be different colors, but anything below this where you're seeing the actual content of the website that you are on. So for here, the web browser is the Arc of Indiana website. That's where all the information that you're looking for is going to be located. Now, there is also a button in the top left-hand corner here. It looks like an arrow, but it is round, so it's a circular arrow. If you click that button, it will reload the page. I'm sure some of you have been on a website before where it is moving really slowly or not loading correctly. You can hit that circular arrow there to reload the web page. Also, if you are ever trying to get onto a website and you realize that one, it might be taking a really, really long time to load, like maybe the website is not working properly, or you've selected the wrong website and it's a website you didn't intend to click to open. While the website is loading, there also, in place of this circular arrow, will sometimes be an X, and that is a stop command, and it essentially stops your web browser from loading. So when it's taking too long, you realize maybe you're going to the wrong website, you can hit that X. It happens really quickly on my computer because we have really good internet here. But if you watch really carefully, there will be just a split second where that X occurs before it turns back into the circular arrow. So if I ever wanted to cancel or use that stop command, I would hit that X. Another feature of web browsers include the favorites bar. So you will see on my computer, I have a few things saved on my favorites bar. These are websites that I frequent quick very often. So you'll see the Self Advocates of Indiana website is favorited on mine, the Arc of Indiana website, the Arc of the United States website, just any website that I use often, every day, for example, for my work, just to save me time instead of typing in the URL every single time I want to go to that certain website. I can just go and click. So, for example, if I want to go to the Self Advocates of Indiana's website, I would just click on my favorites bar. And now I am on the SAI website. I'm going to go back to the Arc of Indiana website though. If you wanted to add a website to your bookmarks or favorites bar, you would click on this star that is in the right side of your address bar. I'm going to go to a website that is not. Um, so, for example, if I wanted to go to the Indy Public Library website, I don't think that is favorited. Yeah, okay. So you'll see here, there is a little outline of a star. And if I hover my cursor, my little white arrow over it, it will say bookmark this tab. So if I click that, I've now added a bookmark. So when I look at my favorites list, the Indianapolis Public Library website is there. All right. I'm going to take a pause for a moment before we go on to using search engines. Does anybody have any questions about the features of a web browser? And a reminder, you can either put those in the chat, you can also put them in the Q&A, or if you raise your hand, we can allow you to come off of mute to ask your question in real time. Okay.
Becky, I
And
will
those,
say,
yeah,
sorry.
Sean, go ahead.
Um, I will say that you got to make sure when you're typing what site you want to go on, you got to make sure that you type in the right stuff because if you type in and misspell something, it might take you somewhere where you don't want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes with websites, um, a misspelling, maybe sometimes it will still get you where you want to go. Like it might do a Google search instead, but other times a misspelling might take you to a completely different website. So that's a really good point, Sean. Not seeing any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and move to the next section. We're going to kind of play around with a search engine. So remember, we talked about some common search engines right off the bat. There is Google, there is Bing, there is Yahoo. I think there are a couple of others. DuckDuckGo, I think, is a search engine that people use. But the main three I would say that people use most frequently are Google, Bing, and Yahoo. If there's another search engine that you really like that I didn't mention, feel free to put it in the chat. I'd be interested to hear that. But for today's purposes, we're going to go to google.com. Oops, excuse me. Hit the wrong thing. So here we are. We have opened Google. And just a reminder again, a search engine is any website that allows you to look up and search for things on the internet. So it's a way that it's someplace you can go to if you're looking for information just to help you. So there are a few kind of main features. You see, we've opened Google. Something kind of fun about Google is that every day this little illustration or picture changes. So because today is March 17th, it's St. Patrick's Day, we have kind of a green Google logo with a little shamrock in the middle as one of the O's. So kind of giving you a shout out to St. Patrick's Day today with Google's homepage. You also see here is the main search box. So this is where you would type in what you are looking for. You also can search by voice. So if you click this little microphone, you can just say out loud what you're wanting to search for, or you can search by image. So I do this a lot when I'm gardening or when I'm going on walks and I see a flower or a plant that is really pretty, but I don't know exactly what the plant is. I can actually take a picture of it and search Google by the picture, and it will say, oh, this is a hydrangea or this is an elm tree. It will tell me exactly what kind of plant I'm looking at, which I think is a pretty cool feature of Google, that it allows you to type either by texting, by putting something in the text box, typing something, speaking your question, or using that image. Today, for the purposes of this demonstration, let's go ahead and pretend that we are going to be planning a visit to Chicago. So maybe we're going just for a long weekend and we want to make sure we see all of the most popular Chicago landmarks. So I'm going to go ahead and type into the text box, Chicago landmarks. And you'll see that as I was typing, Google was kind of filling in for me and guessing what I might be looking for. So as I'm typing out landmarks, you'll see it's giving me options, and I can always just click on that option. So because I'm going to search for Chicago landmarks, I'm not even going to bother finishing typing out that search phrase. I'm just going to go ahead and click, and it takes me to the search results. So this page that you see on my screen now is the search results page. So at the top here, you can still see what we typed in to get these results. So there's still that search bar that says Chicago landmarks. This is a relatively new feature of Google. There is an AI overview. That's an overview using artificial intelligence where it kind of scans all of the top results and creates an overview with some pictures and just a little bit of information about Chicago landmarks. There also is underneath here a couple of different things. So there is all, we're under the all tab right now. There's also a tab that says images, a tab for news, a tab for maps, and there's tabs for videos. So if I wanted to see if there was any news recently, any news articles about Chicago landmarks, I could click news and it would tell me, it would show me different news articles that have been written in the past month or so specific about Chicago landmarks. But maybe I'm not interested in the news. Maybe I just want to see a picture, right? I just want to see pictures of different Chicago landmarks to pick which one I want to go see. Then I can click on images. And now I can see different images of the different Chicago landmarks. I'm going to go back here. There is also up here the maps portion. So you can see different maps. You can also up here underneath your search bar go to the maps page as well, which will open up Google Maps. Now we've got a map of Chicago. So maybe if we wanted to plan out the routes, plan out which Chicago landmarks are closest to each other, that might be a time when we're using the maps tab. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this back arrow though. So there are, oops, back, there we go. It does kind of list out some of the top um, sites in Chicago. So we've got Cloud Gate, which is kind of known as the Bean. Um, there's the Willis Tower, the Navy Pier, Magnificent Mile. So it does kind of give us a brief overview before we've even clicked on a website. So Google is a way to get a lot of like pretty quick, fast information, but it also gives you those different um, websites where you can do a little bit more in depth. Now, I told you earlier that we were going to talk a little bit about hyperlinks. And what a hyperlink is just anything that if you click on it, it takes you to a different website. So on Google, those hyperlinks are blue. So if I were to click on Chicago landmarks alphabetical list, that is actually a hyperlink. So if I click once, is going to open up a different website, right? So now I've gone to a website, I can read all of the Chicago landmarks in alphabetical order. There are quite a few, probably not something that we could fit into a weekend trip. I'm now going to hit that back arrow though to go back to the search results page.
So, Becky, if you're kind of a nerd like I am when it comes to going somewhere and seeing stuff on TV, so can you also look up landmarks that were in TV shows or movies, and it'll come up just
Yeah,
like that?
so let's try it out. So Sean gave a good example of how maybe we want to tweak our search a little bit. So I can go back up to this search bar and I'm going to add to the Chicago landmarks in television shows. And so now we've got some different options here. We've got a hyperlink to shows that take place in Chicago, top 10, top 10 TV and movie filming locations in Chicago. So you can. That is a good example. You also, Sean, this is giving us a good opportunity to kind of talk about ads. So you'll see here it says sponsored result. Anytime you see something that has the word ad or sponsored by it, it means that that website has paid money to be towards the top of the search engines. So just keep that in mind. If we go back to ours here, you can see, um, let me refresh this actually. We've got some sponsored tickets and tours. So these are places that they want you to come. They want you to spend your money at their landmark, at their museum, on their tour, on their boat. So you have some ads up here, sponsored tickets and tours. Um, I'm not seeing any other ads. We do have some more sponsored results down here at the bottom, but in this main little section here, there are not any that I am seeing. And then at the very bottom here, I do want to show the related searches or the also try searches. So when you get to the very bottom of the first page, there are many, many pages. As you can see, it's no longer Google, it's Google. We've got a lot of results here. So you can go to page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can hit the next button to see the next page of results. You also will see here that it tells you what other people search for. So our original search was just Chicago landmarks. People search for Chicago landmarks to visit, Chicago landmarks map, pictures, buildings, the bean. So there are different, you can get different ideas here of what maybe you want to look for. It can help you refine your search and it can help you explore new things. So if you want to do those searches, you just pick the one you want to do and then you click on that and it will now show you the search results for the suggested search that you just clicked on. Any questions about that? We talked about the different formats. So again, you have images, news articles, videos, maps, or the all format, which is usually when I'm doing a Google search, what I look for, and unless I'm specifically looking for a news story. But the all kind of just gives you everything. We've also talked about how to alter your search. So there's the people also ask, or again, at the very bottom, the people also search for. We covered how to tell what things may be sponsored or what things may be ads. So again, here we've got sponsored tickets and tours. So this is something that they have paid to be seen towards the top of Google. So any other questions about using a search engine using Google specifically? And I'm going to make sure. All right, yep, I'm not seeing any hands up, not seeing anything in the chat. So we're going to go back to our PowerPoint here, and Sean is going to I'm going to give you some tips and tricks, and then Sean is going to give you some tips and tricks as well. So the first tip that I would give you is to use quotation marks if you're looking for an exact phrase. So if you put quotation marks in, so if you wanted to search for the Illinois State Fair, you can put quotation marks on either side of it so that anytime those three words appear together on the internet, those are going to show up in your search. Sometimes if you put the words without quotation marks, it'll bring up anytime that the word state is used on a website, the word fair, the state of Illinois. If you're specifically looking for a state fair and you only want to know about the Illinois State Fair, you can put those in that quotation marks to make sure that you have that exact phrase is what Google is looking for. You also can use the word and, A-N-D, to narrow your search results. It will find web pages or websites that contain all of the search terms. So if I wanted to look up for events in Chicago, I could type in Chicago and events rather than typing out Chicago events that might get us information about just about Chicago or just about events, but we're looking for those events that are taking place in Chicago. Or the word or will expand your search. So if you want to look for a couple of different things at the same time, it finds web pages that will contain either word. So if you searched college or university, it would bring up all the search results for the word college as well as all the search results for the word university. So that expands your search and makes it bigger. You'll get more results if you use the word or. And then if you want to exclude or get rid of terms from if you want to exclude terms from your search results, you can use the minus sign, the little dash. So, for example, if you wanted to learn about cardinals, which are a bird, but you kept getting search results about the St. Louis Cardinals, who are a baseball team, you could search for Cardinal minus baseball. And so any of those results that are about baseball will not show up in your search. Sean, would you mind sharing us your tips and tricks?
Yeah, sure. So, review the research results list before clicking the link. Check your multiple pages before before using the new keyword search. You, use use also try or okay. I'm getting my head wasn't going with this flow right here.
Oh,
Um,
you're fine.
use also try or search related to. Okay. I think I got it now. It was messing with my head. Um, if you can't find the web page, try using the recommended searches featuring available on most search result pages. And I cannot read none of that.
Oh, you're fine. Those are just examples. You don't have to read the text at the bottom. So if you remember when we had Google opened at the bottom of our first results page, there were some related searches. And those are just ideas for other things that you could search for based on what other people search for. And if you want to use one of those search terms, you would just need to click on it and Google will refresh with all of the search results for that new term that you've selected. With that, we're going to go ahead and talk now about navigating a website. So, a website is a collection of web pages that provide information about a particular business, a group, an organization, or person. Um, so, for example, some of the web pages that I showed you all while I was kind of introducing you to the web browser, we looked at the Arc of Indiana website, right? We talked about the Self Advocates of Indiana website. We talked about the Indianapolis Public Library website. Those are all websites that have many different pages, right? It's a collection. So when you go to the Arc of Indiana website, there isn't just one thing to look at. There are different places to click, different things to explore, and they will use a menu to help you navigate the website. And the menu is kind of like um, a little bit like a map. It's a little bit like the map of the website. So the navigation menu will be a collection of links, things you can click on to go to a different part of the website of the main sections of the website. They usually occur near the top of the page. They sometimes will be along one side of the page. But so I'm actually, again, going to hop out of this PowerPoint and we're going to go and we're going to explore the pieces of a website actually live and in time. So we talked about the navigation menu here on the Arc of Indiana website. Our navigation menu is on the top. So the sections of the Arc of Indiana's navigation menu are about the Arc, our programs, events, news, our blog, supports and services, future planning, get involved, and contact us. You will see if you wanted to go and learn about the Arc, you can either click right at the top, or when you hover your mouse, it actually gives you even more options. So this is like a table of contents for the About the Arc section of the Arc of Indiana website. So maybe we want to learn a little bit more about the ARC team. You click that. Now you can see the staff of the ARC of Indiana. Shows you who the team members are on the ARC of Indiana team. Taking us to the home page now. Also, most websites will have a search box. For the Arc of Indiana's website, it is located at the top. You can tell it is a search because it has the word search and a little magnifying glass next to it. So this is not the same as a Google search. So if I typed in Chicago landmarks into the search box for the Arc of Indiana's webpage, I'm not going to get anything because I'm guessing that the Arc of Indiana doesn't have any blog posts or information about Chicago landmarks on our website. But if I wanted to learn, Sean, what was the example search that we did earlier today on our website? It's actually has flown out of my mind a little bit. Oh,
I don't remember either.
it was Self Advocates of Indiana. So if I wanted to learn about self advocates, I would type that in, and this will give me search results specific to the Arc of Indiana website. So this will tell us about anytime the Arc of Indiana has a blog post or resource or information about self advocates, it will be in this search results page. Very similar to a Google search. There are different pages. So it looks like there's 27 pages worth of search results for self advocates on the Arc of Indiana website. If at any time on a website you want to go back to the home page or the landing page, for most websites, if you click on their logo, which will be somewhere along the top, ours on the ARC website is the top left. If you click on that, it will take you right back to the home page. Next, I want to show you what happens if you scroll down to the bottom of websites. There will be a footer, which is just a collection of links that will appear on the bottom of each page. Typically, this is where you find out more information about the company. If you're on a company's website, it'll have, their mailing address, perhaps a phone or fax number. It also will give you some information if there is a different company that runs the website. So for the Arc of Indiana, we use Red Elephant. Also on the footer, there will be usually links here to follow the organization on various social media outlets. So we've got here the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. The Arc of Indiana has accounts across all of those platforms. So if you wanted to look at what is on the Arc of Indiana's Facebook, for instance, you would just need to click that Facebook icon, and now you're at the Arc of Indiana's website. It actually opens it for you as a new tab. We talked about tabs at the beginning of this hour. And so now I can go back and forth by clicking on those different tabs between the Arc of Indiana website and the Arc of Indiana Facebook page. A couple other things I want to show you about websites. If you ever are going, so we have again those main areas, the main sections of the website. If I wanted to click on our programs, usually whenever you click on a header like that, then it will give you the table of contents also. So you can see here this drop down menu this list of what all is a part of the programs of the Arc of Indiana is also now on the side, serving as the table of contents. So you can click between all of the different, um, pardon me, all of the different parts of programs of the Arc of Indiana. One final thing, and not every website will have this, but many do. You may notice that at the bottom right hand corner, and it stays in the bottom right hand corner, even if you scroll up or down, there is a circle with an image or icon of a person in a wheelchair. And this is actually an accessibility feature. The one for the Arc of Indiana and Self Advocates of Indiana website is very nice. There are bundles of different options that you can do. So there are accommodations for blind and low vision users. It will turn on a screen reader. There is things that help you with reading and focusing. So if I went to the cognitive disability profile, now we've got some different options. It's kind of squared everything away. If I click on it, um, it will help me read and navigate. If you are someone who uses seizures, you actually can get a seizure safe profile, which kind of mutes the colors. The colors aren't as bright anymore. And if there were any like flashes or any type of quick movements on the website, it would clear that. So these are really cool to play around with. Now I've turned on the vision impaired um, filter that has kind of changed the contrast and also made things uh, a little bit larger. Um, ADHD friendly profile. Now you have a focused reading bar that goes up and down. This helps reduce distractions, helps you with your focus. So, very cool options. Most websites will have um, different accessibility features. Not all of them, but it is really a great resource, especially if you're a person who needs an accommodation to be able to fully absorb or understand content on web pages. That accessibility feature is really cool. Comes in really clutch. That usually is indicated by some sort of icon of a person who is in a wheelchair. It might say accessibility or something like that. Um, so that was the first thing I wanted to point out that is a cool feature of the Arc of Indiana website. And then another feature that some websites have, again, not all of them, is the translate option. So if English is your second language, and it is easier for you to read information in your first language. So perhaps that's Spanish. This actually will translate the entire website. So now you can see all of what used to be written in English is actually now in Spanish. Um, so that is another cool feature. Again, not every website has that, but many do, especially as more and more people are, speaking different languages. We've got a great melting pot here. So definitely some things to check out. Before we wrap up with some final tips about website navigation, I'm also going to open it up to questions again. Reminder that you can use the chat box, you can use the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand to come up off of mute. And while I'm letting you type that out, I'm going to go to back to our PowerPoint. And Sean, I'm going to pass it over to you so you can give these final tips and tricks for navigating a website.
Okay, thanks. Safety tips. Here are some tips to ensure that you are using the internet safely. Secure websites. These usually begin with WTTPS, and I forget what those two circles are called.
Colon
Yeah,
slash slash.
yeah, colon// or show a lock icon or message to alert users. The website owner employs their own security team to ensure encryption of the user's information. Fake URLs. Sometimes,
Fraudsters.
yeah, fraudsters create a fake URL as part of an online scam. Check the website address or the URL to make sure you are on the website you land intended to visit. A missing letter or typo or gram what is that?
Grammatical.
Grammatical error can be a sign that the website may be part of a scam. Security settings. Check your security settings in your web browser to view and set your security preferences.
Thanks, Sean. And then you want to wrap us up.
Yep. Congratulations, everyone. Today you have learned what web browsers and search engines do, which skills you need to navigate the internet, and including using the web browser, using search engine, navigating a website, and tips and tricks for basic and advanced searches. And if you guys would be generous enough to click this and do the survey, that would be really great.
Yeah, thank you all so much. I hope that you all have a nice St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully, we'll get some warmer weather soon. Um, this webinar series is every Tuesday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be going on. The final webinar of the series will be on Tuesday, May 5th. So we've got more than a month left to go. Next week, we will be talking about email basics. So again, this is a 10-week webinar series. It'll be happening every Tuesday from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And be sure to join us next week for a little bit of information about email basics. Thank you all so much for joining, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, I was getting